All right, so Dolly Parton, right? I mean, everybody knows Dolly Parton. She's the queen of country music, philanthropist, businesswoman, legend. And you may have heard about the recent passing of her husband, Carl Dean.
Yes.
But today's deep dive is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to just focus on the headlines about his passing. We're really going to try to explore the man behind the icon, Carl Dean.
Right.
This asphalt contractor from Nashville who really chose to live his life out of the spotlight. And really what's fascinating is that they had this love story that lasted an incredible 6 decades.
6 decades.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to try to unpack today. So how did this intensely private man influence one of the world's most public figures?
Yeah, it really is a fascinating dynamic to think about. You have Dolly Parton, this force of nature, always on stage in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Carl, who is content to be in the background, almost a mystery to the public.
Right, exactly. So let's rewind all the way back to 1964. Dolly's just 18 years old. She's fresh off the bus from rural Tennessee, and she meets Carl outside a Nashville laundromat.
Wow.
Talk about a meet cute.
Yeah, it really is like something out of a movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost these two worlds colliding, the aspiring singer with big dreams and this down-to-earth contractor. But apparently they clicked instantly.
Yeah, and I was reading somewhere that Dolly said they clicked because they were so different. And I have to say, I'm a little skeptical. Do opposites really attract, or was there something deeper there?
That's a really great question. I think it's easy to oversimplify their connection and just say, oh, as opposites attract.
Mm.
But if you look closer, you see that they actually shared a lot of values. A strong work ethic,
Yeah.
a deep love for their family, a commitment to their own paths.
Right.
So maybe it wasn't just about the differences, but also about this mutual respect for who they were as individuals.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And 2 years after that laundromat encounter, they eloped. Dolly even borrowed a $5 dress for the occasion. I love that.
It's amazing.
So Dolly, even in a whirlwind romance.
Right. It really speaks volumes. It tells you about their values, their practicality, their down-to-earth approach to life, even at the very beginning as Dolly's star is beginning to rise.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so fast forward a few years, and Dolly's career explodes.
Right.
She's on TV, she's on the radio, touring the world. But Carl stays firmly out of the limelight. Why do you think he made that choice?
well, from what I've read in the sources, he was a very private person, someone who really valued normalcy and stability.
Yeah.
And you also have to remember, this was the 60s and the 70s.
Right.
And celebrity culture just wasn't what it is today.
Yeah.
So it was probably even more intense for someone like Carl, who seemed to crave a quiet life.
He seemed to be content, with quiet dinners at home, driving his pickup truck. It's such a contrast to Dolly's world.
Yeah.
The red carpets and the sold-out stadiums. I think you almost have to admire his commitment to just staying true to himself.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that is a key element of why they were so successful as a couple. They recognized and respected each other's needs and aspirations.
Yeah.
Dolly had her world line. Carl had his. They just made it work.
Dolly often called Carl her rock. What do you think she meant by that?
I think it speaks to the sense of stability and grounding that he provided. Imagine the pressure and the demands of being Dolly Parton. Constant travel, public scrutiny, the emotional roller coaster of a creative career.
Oh, yeah.
I think Carl represented this steady, unwavering presence in her life, a safe harbor in the midst of the storm.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And while Carl might not have sought the spotlight himself, it seems like his presence very quietly shaped Dolly's music.
Oh, for sure. And that's what we'll dive into next.
I can't wait.
So, when we think about Dolly's songwriting, it's so easy to think, oh, it's all about, her own personal experiences and emotions.
Right.
But I actually think that Carl's influence is there, just kind of subtly woven into the fabric of a lot of her music.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example. Okay.
Like, where do you see Carl's fingerprints, so to speak?
Well, let's take Jolene, for example.
Okay.
One of her most, iconic and emotionally charged songs.
Sure.
And, it's about this woman who's threatened by another woman who she thinks might steal her man.
Right.
And Dolly has actually said that the song was inspired by a real-life experience she had where there was this redhead bank teller
Oh, wow.
who was flirting with Carl.
Really? I did not know that. So the song is basically Dolly's raw fear of losing Carl.
Exactly. And I think the fact that she could channel that fear, that vulnerability into such a powerful and relatable song
Yeah.
really speaks volumes about their relationship.
Yeah.
It suggests this level of trust and security that allowed her to, explore those complex emotions.
So in a way, Carl's presence, even indirectly, helped fuel Dolly's creativity.
Right. And it wasn't just Jolene either.
Right.
There's that story about how Carl would be Dolly's first audience for every new song that she
Oh,
wrote.
I love that. And he would, just sit there in his armchair listening, intently offering, his honest feedback.
Ah, that's so sweet. Did he have a favorite Dolly Parton song?
There's that famous anecdote about how Carl actually preferred to watch Dolly perform on TV rather than in person,
Oh, really?
because he said that way he could change the channel if he didn't like it.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's classic, Carl. He sounds like he was such a character.
It does, doesn't it? It speaks to their playful dynamic, but also to his respect for her craft.
Right. Yeah.
He might not have been a musician himself,
Mhm.
but he understood the importance of her music and supported her in his own unique way.
It makes you think about all the different ways that love can manifest in a relationship.
For sure.
They weren't always, front and center in the spotlight together, but they were partners, in the truest sense of the word.
Absolutely. I think that's what makes their story so enduring and so relatable. It wasn't like this fairy tale romance.
Right.
It was real. It was lived in. It was, built on this mutual respect, understanding, and this idea of, a shared journey.
And sadly, that journey together came to an end recently with Carl's passing.
Yes, it is, a reminder that even the strongest bonds are subject to the realities of life and loss.
Yeah, it's hard to even imagine what Dolly must be going through right now. But even in her grief, she's handling this loss with so much grace and dignity.
She really is.
Mm.
And her Instagram tribute to Carl was incredibly moving.
Yeah.
She called him her rock and said that words couldn't express the love they shared.
Oh.
It just encapsulated their entire relationship in just a few short sentences.
And in keeping with Carl's lifelong preference for privacy, they held a private funeral.
Yes.
And I think that really speaks volumes about their respect for each other.
It does. It was a beautiful and fitting tribute to a man who really lived his life on his own terms.
It's easy to get cynical about love, especially in a world where relationships can feel fleeting and fragile at times. But, Dolly and Carl's story is such a powerful reminder that, true enduring love is possible.
It really is. And it's a testament to the power of, commitment, compromise. Yeah. Choosing each other every single day.
Okay, so we've talked about their early years, Carl's choice to stay out of the spotlight, his subtle influence on Dolly's music, the challenges that they faced. What do you think ultimately was the secret to their 6-decade love story?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
I think it was a combination of factors. They clearly had a deep and genuine love for each other.
Yeah.
They were both incredibly strong individuals, but they also understood the importance of supporting each other's dreams and aspirations.
Yeah, they have that balance of independence and togetherness that, seems so crucial for a long-lasting relationship.
Exactly. And, I think they never lost sight of what truly mattered.
Yeah.
Their connection, their shared values, and their commitment to building a life together.
Right.
And I think that's a powerful message for all of us.
Yeah.
No matter, what our relationship status is.
It's funny because as we're talking about this, I keep coming back to this quote from Dolly where she said, "We both need our space, but we're always holding hands in our hearts." It's just such a beautiful way to describe their dynamic.
It really is. And it kind of gets at something that's really essential about their relationship. This idea that true love doesn't have to be, constant togetherness.
Yeah.
It can thrive in the spaces in between,
Right.
and that mutual respect for each other's individuality.
I think that's so important, especially in today's world where we're just constantly bombarded with these images of these picture-perfect couples on social media.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Dolly and Carl's story just reminds us that love doesn't have to be a performance. It can be quiet, it can be understated, and it can be, built on this foundation of shared values and a deep understanding of each other's needs.
Exactly. And that's perhaps the most enduring legacy of their relationship. They defied expectations, they carved their own path, and they showed us that forever is possible. Not in this idealized fairy tale sense, but in this real, down-to-earth way.
It is funny, though, isn't it, that Carl, this intensely private man who spent his life out of the spotlight, ended up teaching us all a very public lesson about love and commitment.
It is ironic, but it's also incredibly powerful. And, their story resonates with so many people because it speaks to something so universal, that longing for a connection, for
Mhm.
belonging, for that one person who just gets you.
And as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, I find myself thinking about Carl's passing, not with sadness, but with this sense of gratitude that he existed, that he shared his life with Dolly, and that their love story and all its quiet beauty has touched so many lives.
That's beautifully said.
Ah.
And I think that's the perfect note to end on. Carl Dean, the man behind the icon, leaves behind this legacy of love, loyalty, and quiet strength. May his story continue to inspire us to, seek out and cherish those deep connections that really make life meaningful.
And to all of you listening, we hope this deep dive into Dolly and Carl's enduring love story has left you with a little bit of hope, a little bit of inspiration, and maybe even a little bit of a challenge to create your own forever story, whatever that may look like for you.